Hello YouTube, and welcome to my first knife making video. It's just a quick one this time. I just wanted to show you this little jig that I made up. It's actually out of some bits of scrap. As most beginning knife makers will find, one of the hardest things is knocking up all your bevels on your knives. These are all kind of works in progress and at various stages of whatever. I just put them out there to show really. But generally, the hardest thing you'll find on knives is getting a nice straight grind line for your bevel. And on top of that, the plunge line, getting that nice and straight that sits in there. To help with that, I knocked up this jig. And all this is just a block of wood with a little thumb screw in there, protrudes out the bottom, and a little captive tin at the bottom with magnets. And this simply works by, just get these out of the way, that one will do. I've actually marked up the blade with 4. This is because this knob is spaced out with washers. I'll show you that in a second. But number 4 equates to the amount of washers you put in to give you that angle, and this simply works by locking on there. You straighten up the base. You can put it on a flat surface or an engineer's table or marble or something like that, and then that protrusion there simply cants the blade up, and that's it. You've got your bevel. So all this is a series of little round magnets. I don't know where I got the magnets, to be honest. These have just been sitting around my workshop for God knows how long. But you can find easy magnets on eBay. And all I've done, just unscrew this. This is a M8 thumb knob. I got loads of these on eBay for about, no, maybe a tenner. And by loads of them, I mean a big old bag full. That was for another project actually. And I just had, well, loads spare. And as I said earlier, oh bloody hell, it's a long thread, there we go. These are just spaced out with washers on the actual knob itself, and these are all measured to be the same size, because these are all probably stamped out the same piece of metal, but at the same time they might have slight variances. So I just went through the pack and measured them all up. They don't have to be exactly 1mm or exactly 1.4 or whatever. As long as they're all the same to each other, then you can stack them up and it makes no real difference. That way you're not going to add a 1mm onto a 1.2 onto a 1.4, get yourself 3.6mm. If they're all at least 0.8mm and you've got 4 of them, then you can get oh god, what's that, 4.2mm, 3.2mm. Yeah, so that's just that's just how I work with the washers. The block, all I've done is bored into here, and to do that I've just used a Forstner bit. For those not knowing, that's the Forstner bit, and it just makes a really nice clean hole in your wood. It just cuts all the way around that periphery, gives you a really nice clean hole. So I've just got one of those on the inside there, bored all the way through, and turned it over, and I've recessed that ever so slightly, just in there, and then that's got a little T-nut put into it, and all I did was add some super glue and smash it in, so that's going to stay nice and solid. I've put the T-nut on the opposite side of this, so that when you screw this in, when it tightens here and it pulls in here, so the effect you get is a squeezing of the fittings. If you did the T-nut at the top, then you could actually screw this in, and if you wanted, just pull the whole thing out, which I didn't really like the idea of. So like I said, if you do it opposing sides, then it'll just pinch it, it'll just kind of pinch in, and that's it really. The wood was as square as it came out of the box. I said out of the box, sorry. As square as it came off of the from wherever the hell I got it. I think this is probably an old bed. Again, the squareness of the wood, it's kind of important, but it's not the end of the world. The reason being is that whatever variance you make in your jig, that jig will have the same variance on both sides of the knife on every knife you do. So same way as you've got the possible variance on these, the actual number doesn't make a difference as long as it's the same number every time. And like I said, all the same washers, all the same thickness washers. And this, obviously, as long as you don't go taking off any additional material once you start, if this is off by, if that face, say, is off by 1 degree, it'll be off 1 degree for this knife, it'll be off 1 degree for this knife, and all the others. So it will be the same every time, it will be consistent every time, and you can work in how that consistency gives you your grinds. None of these have actually been done with this jig yet, with the exception of this blade here. And what I was going to do is jump over to the grinder now and show you quickly how it grinds. And in order to do that, I've added some engineer's blue onto the blade there, and I'm just going to grind this through so we can see how consistently we can get we can grind with this jig. If it's on different passes, if it's slightly off on the wonk either way, it will grind this blue off unevenly. If it grinds it all off in one pass, or however many passes, but in the same amount up here as it does here, we know that that jig is holding the blade straight. If we do it on the side, if it's, say, off by X amount, it will only grind at the bottom. If it's off at the top, it will only grind at the top there. So yeah, we'll give that a go. The only thing I didn't show you is, yes, these magnets. I've just laid lines down, and I think I did it by eye. The amount of magnets isn't really important. This holds it like an absolute freight train. In fact, if I can... That picks it up from about an inch, and the amount of force required in order to move that is quite incredible. So that holds it nice and solid, and well, that's about it really. These were just drilled in. These are 10mm diameter magnets, drilled in with a 10mm force and a bit. Drop a super glue, push them in, let them dry, and then all I've done is bash that on the sander quickly, so there's no bits of super glue or anything like that. So this is a flat surface. It doesn't matter if they're recessed a little bit. It doesn't matter if they're on the wonk when they've sat in there. As long as they're in, as long as they're not protruding, and as long as you've got a single flat surface, that's all you need. So let's jump onto the grinder quickly and see how this blade grinds out. Right, we're at the grinder. Blade set up on the jig. I've tightened down the knob nice and tight. I've got a set of safety glasses on, but I'm not using breathing protection because I'm only doing a quick demo and it'll be crap for video. But normally, always wear breathing protection. It's a 36 grit blade, belt, and yeah, let's see what happens. So, there we go, not incredibly consistent. You can see that there's still a little bit of, it's obviously been touching at the top there, but it's not incredibly consistent. You've got almost a nice plunge line, and you can see again where that's been, the pressure has been slightly lighter at the top. I'm not 100% sure why it's doing that, but it still gives me a really nice, it's still quite consistent, and it gives me a nice feel as I'm doing it. Yeah, so that's it really. That's the knife jig, and well, I hope it's useful to you. Hope you enjoyed it.